Hello and welcome to Design World Z. Let's see how we design this for the Christmas. Let's go. First of all, I started with a cylinder for the stem of the tree, so I scaled it down and extruded it on the Z-axis. After that, I added a cone, deleted this face, and selected vertices, one and left one. Then I added a bevel modifier and a solidify modifier. I applied the solidify modifier and changed the segments of the bevel to almost 6. Then I took more copies of this cone and started to scale down each one more than the one below. And I rotated every one a little bit. And I didn't like this edge, so with the knife tool I started cutting through the mesh to get a better shape. Then I added a circle and started extruding it on the Z-axis. E for extrude, S for scale. Until I got here, then I started extruding and rotating each edge loop. So E to extrude, then rotate and left click to confirm. Then while selecting the same circle, I added a UV sphere, scaled it down and put it here. Then I added a torus and grabbed it on the x-axis like this. Then I selected subdivide. And I clicked a right click and shade smooth. Then I selected these 3 edge loops and Ctrl B to bevel them, and I scrolled the mouse wheel to get more segments. After that, I started editing the edge loops and adding more loops in the middle by Ctrl R to get a better shape for the hat. Then I added another UV sphere, scaled it down and grabbed it up to be on the top of the tree. Then I selected the whole tree and Shift D to duplicate it, and I added a solidify modifier and started increasing the thickness. I started editing the settings of each one to make sure it will look pretty good. I changed the thickness and the offset of each one until it looked good. Then I hided the old tree. I took a copy of these 3 parts of the tree to make a smaller one. Then I moved them in their places. And I scaled down the hat. I added a plane and moved everything over the plane. Then I selected all the parts of the tree and I pressed Ctrl P to parent them to make sure everything will move together. Then I extruded the plane and I added a bevel modifier for the plane and scaled it up. And I subdivided the plane. Then with the K I got my knife tool and I started cutting through the plane. To get this shape, then I selected faces and I deleted all the unwanted faces. Then I added some loop cuts for the side of the plane and I scrolled the mouse wheel button to get more loop cuts. I started beveling the edges that was sharp to get these smooth edges. Then I enabled the proportional editing and I selected the middle faces of the plane and I grabbed them on the Z-axis. I selected the tree and I enabled snapping to face to make sure everything will be exactly on the top of the plane. But about the trees, I liked more to make them a little bit inside the plane, as this plane will be my snow, so I liked to make them a little bit into the snow. Then I added an area light and grabbed it up and scaled it, and I increased the power to 2000. Then I went to the viewport settings and I made the max samples 10 to make sure it will render quickly on my computer. I added another area light and I moved it to the left. Then I added a green material for all the tree parts and I added a brown material for the stem of the tree. I selected all the parts I wanted to be green, and from the down arrow in the material section you will find copy material to selected. This will automatically copy the material to all the selected parts. I also added material to the plane and I increased the roughness to the max. I added a material also for the bulb on the top of the tree and I scaled down the left tree for diversity. Then I started adding material to the hat, so I added the red material. And then I chose only the faces that I want to be white, and I added a white material to it. Then I started adding these Christmas balls ornaments to the tree. I added a UV sphere and I started copying it and putting them in different parts on the tree. Then I duplicated the hat and I scaled it down and I put it on the top of the tree. Then I added some snowballs. and I duplicated the upper part of the tree and I scaled it down and I added white material to it to make it like snow that is covering the top of the tree. I switched to vertex selection and I started grabbing them randomly to give it this random shape while enabling the proportional editing tool. I started giving each ball a different color. Then I duplicated the snowballs and started scaling them up to make our snowman. I started scanning each sphere of them slowly till I got this shape. Then I added another UV spheres for the eyes and the mouth. Then I added another cone, scaled it down on the X and Y axis, and I gave it the orange color to be the snowman's nose. Then I duplicated the hat again, the Christmas hat again, and I changed it a little bit for Mr. Snowman. Then I selected everything and I parented it to the snowman itself. And I started putting it in its place and scaling it. I rotated the hat a little bit and I put everything in its place. Then I added another UV sphere and I added a subdivision surface modifier and shaded it smooth. Decreased the roughness to the minimum and increased the transmission value to the max to get this glass bowl. After adding the glass bowl, I tried to make the plane fit in. But I didn't like much how it looked, so I added another UV sphere and I deleted all the upper faces, selected the edge loop and pressed F to make a face. Then I started cutting through the face with the knife tool. Then I added a subdivision modifier. And I selected the whole edge loop and I started insetting it with I. So I for inset and scaling it down and inset again and scale it down until I got this shape. Then after that I opened another window for myself and I opened the shader editor and I added a Musgrave texture. Then I hit Ctrl T to get this input node. And I started connecting them and changing the values till I got this texture and I connected them to the displacement to displace it like this. And I added a white material to it to make it look like snow and I deleted the other plane. Then I started selecting some faces and with the proportional editing on, I started grabbing the surface randomly like this to give it the feeling of real snow. Then I scaled down the glass ball. And I added another circle and started extruding it on the z-axis and scaling it down. Then E to extrude and S to scale, E to extrude, S to scale until I got this shape which will be the bottom part of the glass bowl. I added material to it, then I grabbed everything on the z-axis and I added a ground plane. I selected a texture that I downloaded free from HDRI Haven. I'll leave you the link in the description. And in the shader editor, while selecting my BSDF shader, I hit Ctrl Alt T and I selected the texture from my computer and it got applied automatically as I'm having the node wrangler on. As we mentioned before, you can enable the node wrangler from the preferences from the add-ons. Then I duplicated the Santa hat and I scaled it up and I put it beside my snowball. Then I scaled the plane to make it more like a shelf. Then I took a copy of the Christmas tree and I scaled it up and I put it on the shelf as well. Then I added another plane, rotated it on the x-axis to be the wall, and I extruded the shelf a little bit. Then I changed the settings of my nodes to get this shape. Then I duplicated the shelf to make another one on top of the first one, and I started adding more lights. After that, I changed the color of the lights and I changed the texture of the background wall, and I deleted the upper shelf to get more lighting to reach the ball and so till I got it finally like this. So that's everything for now. I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to support the channel. Thanks so much for your time and see you in the next video.